Hello, everybody. It's your girl, Crystalcleareyes, and I'm back today with my third YouTube video, which is, um, I was looking in the news today, looking at some of the headlines, things that's going on today in the news, and I noticed a couple of disturbing behavior patterns and disturbing trends going on, again. And so I'm here to share some of this information with you guys and see what you guys think about it. I'm very interested in finding out what you guys think about this. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Okay. There's a couple of things that's going on that I've been noticing today. And one of the first things is the extremely troubling censoring of news that does not agree with what's being said in the mainstream media, you know. And people are being censored everywhere on social media. They're being censored by these giant tech companies, by the people, I should say, that work for these tech companies, um, many of whom seem to be very liberal, and they leave a lot of violent liberal content on the internet, but they censor anything that's conservative or that doesn't fit in with the mainstream media narrative. And I have a lot of questions about things like this, and I'm sure you folks do too. Questions like, when did we become a banana republic? Like, when did we lose our rights under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the rights to freedom of press and freedom of speech? I mean, for the last 4 years, it was all about, we want accountability. We want full accountability. We want full transparency. We want investigations. We want answers. We want action right now, you know. And then in the blink of an eye, new administration, everybody became brain dead all of a sudden. No more calls for full accountability, full transparency. We want answers right now. We want action right now. You know, I mean, you can go on the internet yourself and Google it, and you'll see the videos of the press asking questions of, the new first lady and her ignoring questions. Why is that okay? And walking away. Or the new president ignoring questions and walking away. Or the leaked, all that leaked footage and stuff, of those black pastors who had the meeting with the president before he went in office, And they had a meeting with him where they were speaking about, some of the things that they were looking and hoping, now they're hoping, for the new administration to do, They didn't get any assurances prior to assuring the black vote. But now afterwards, now they're hoping, and they walked away with nothing. Nothing, And the press is not making a big deal about any of that. The press is not even, I don't even see headlines that are saying, why is the press not being given full transparency and full accountability and full access to the new administration, just the same as was demanded of the previous and last old administration? That was demanded of the Trump administration. And guess what? I think that was a good thing. Yeah. Everybody who wanted full transparency for the Trump administration, good thing. Everybody who wanted all these investigations for the Trump administration, even though it was a big waste of time and a big waste of taxpayer money, at the end of the day, they really didn't find anything. Good thing. Everybody who wanted to see the Trump tax returns, good thing. All of that. Full accountability. We want answers. They even sued, one of the press members sued, I forget, I think his name was Jim Acosta. Yeah, I see you, Jim Acosta. You sued to make sure you got full access to the news briefings, the White House press briefings. Okay? But now, nobody's got any questions, any concerns about the lack of total transparency by the new administration, the Biden-Harris administration. I find that very troubling. I have a lot of questions about that. Concerns, That makes me think about things like, oh, okay, Most of mainstream media is owned by 9 giant corporations. I guess they're the ones that's running things and setting the rules for what is allowed to be asked and not. Because I don't see any modern day Woodward and Bernsteins. Look them up. The ones who broke Watergate. Okay? I don't see any modern day Walter Cronkites or Peter Jennings. I don't see any of those. All I see are cute little talking heads on the news, paid spokesmodels, all running the same propaganda, all reading scripts and looking very cute doing it. Like Anderson Cooper, I see you, yeah, very cute doing it. But essentially shoveling a lot of horse crap, I was trained, yeah. I was trained as a journalist, even though I was born and raised in the hood, yeah. My SAT scores were 1260 in 1986 by the old scoring system. My SAT scores had me in the top 1% of the country for my SAT scores. Yeah. I was recruited by a whole lot of major colleges. Yeah. I got a Regent scholarship. I was in who's who of American high school students. So, I was on my high school newspaper. Yeah. I was in a specialized program at NYU to help budding journalism students get real world experience making a news story and typesetting a newspaper. So I know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So all this censorship that's going on in the news, you got to ask yourself questions. Like I ask questions. You got to ask yourself like, why is it going on? Who is it benefiting? Who's benefiting from keeping parts of the news unavailable? Like, for example, have you ever thought about this? The New York Times, one of the most prestigious, respected newspapers on the planet. And if you look at their byline, it says, all the news that's fit to print. It makes you wonder, well, what is the news that the New York Times thinks is not fit to print that they're holding back from you? Like, for example, the Harvey Weinstein story, how long that was held back when many, many people in Hollywood and in the news industry knew all about that. There's even a very famous picture of Oprah, whom I happen to love. I think she's a huge, role model, of Oprah handing over some poor starlet to Harvey Weinstein somewhere at a party or industry event. And the poor starlet looking like a terrified sheep and lamb being led to the slaughter. Looking at Oprah like, are you sure about this, Oprah? And Oprah was smiling her behind off like it was all good in the hood. You mean to tell me Oprah knew nothing about Harvey Weinstein? Oprah, who had a media empire, knew nothing about Harvey Weinstein? I find that hard to believe. I don't know about you. I'm like, a talk show for 20-something years, her own magazine, her own network. She had her own empire. She went from being a slave on the Democratic plantation to owning her own plantation and freeing herself. Okay, but Oprah knew nothing? Yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. Anyway, you got to ask questions and think about things. Like, the news has been being censored from us for a long time. Like things like the Tuskegee experiment that they did on black people, That was heavily censored, and we didn't find out about that for decades until after it happened. And those poor people suffered. Or Operation Paperclip. Look that one up. When our government, to show their gratitude to all the millions of American families who they had sent their sons to go fight World War II. You know how they showed their gratitude to those families after they fought that bloody conflict that involved many countries in the world fighting against Hitler and Japan and Italy, Mussolini. You know how they showed their gratitude? Oh, with Operation Paperclip. They secretly brought Nazi scientists over to the U.S. in a very secret operation and installed them here with housing and high-level jobs and high-level industries like NASA and all kinds of departments, probably the Department of Defense, working hand-in-hand with the military. Yeah, gave them new names, new identities, high-level jobs and positions. Why? Because they wanted Nazi technology. Because back at that time, Nazi technology was the best technology on the planet. So it was believed, you know. And so they wanted access to those Nazi scientists and that Nazi technology. And how they got it was by bringing them over here and installing them in high-level positions where they would have power, access to high-level secret operations, and they could be working hand in hand together. Yay! Thank you very much, American people, who we just sent millions of your sons to go die in this bloody conflict. And by the way, the same politicians who made those decisions to do that, you can be sure they didn't send any of their sons over there to go fight during World War II. Only your sons, my sons, our sons, the American people's sons, but never their sons, you know. And so that's how they thank the American people. With a secret operation behind their back, where they installed Nazis in positions of power here in the U.S. So when you ask yourself questions like, gee, why do things seem to be so corrupt? Well, look back. You got to look back at history. Those who fail to remember are doomed to repeat. Look back and see who they installed in positions of power. They got in bed with them, hand in hand. The corrupt American politicians got in bed with the corrupt Nazi scientists and, you know, God knows who else, you know. And, you know, there you are. We've all been at the mercy of their policies ever since. You know, so you have to ask questions like that, you know. Because what I noticed, here's the other thing I noticed that I want to talk about. I call it the accountability pyramid scheme. And for those of you who are wondering why I wear a mask, I say this in all of my videos. I wear a mask because I'm just an average citizen and I don't want to be famous. Everybody these days wants to be famous, you know, famous for this, famous for that. Yeah. I don't really care about that. I don't want to be famous, you know. I just want to start a conversation, get people thinking, asking questions. You know, if my words are famous, that's fine. Me personally, no, I just want to remain an anonymous citizen, you know, with a lot of questions. I got a whole lot of questions for everybody. Now, let's get back to the accountability pyramid scheme, right? This is another negative behavior pattern I've noticed going on in government and in society, and especially with that top 1% elite that runs things, whether it's the corrupt politicians, whether it's the corrupt stars, celebrities, the rich folks, the billionaires, you know, the millionaires, the trillionaires, you know, the actors, the celebrities, the sports figures. I noticed that there's this whole thing going that I call the accountability pyramid scheme. And you folks want to know how it works? This is how it works. Pay close attention. It's like a pyramid scheme. Everybody knows what a pyramid scheme is. It's a triangle. The top is very tiny, and the bottom, the base of the triangle, is very wide. And at the top, that's the people at the top that I just mentioned. That top 1%, those are the folks at the top of the accountability pyramid scheme. And guess who gets to be at the bottom of the pyramid scheme? Yay, we do. The American people, the American public, citizens of countries everywhere. You know, we, the so-called peasants, the little people, you know, the unimportant people. You know, we get to be at the bottom of the accountability pyramid scheme. And you know how it works? Well, those at the top, they seem to have very little personal responsibility or very little accountability for anything that they do, even though their policies affect millions and billions of people. And those of us at the bottom, us lucky folks at the bottom, you and me, and our children, well, we get to enjoy extreme accountability and lots of personal responsibility for things we do, for things that we're not even responsible for, you know, like other countries and sending aid to other countries and stuff that we're not even responsible for. Yeah, all kinds of extreme accountability and extreme responsibility for everything we do. And stop and think about it. You know how you know this is true? Look at the laws, the many, many laws for things you can and cannot do and that you need a permit for or you get a fine for if you do or you don't do. The list is yay high. It's this high. But now ask yourself, how many of those people making those laws, how many of those top 1% that benefit from all those laws that they make, how many of them are held extremely accountable and extremely responsible for the things that they do and for the decisions that they make and the policies that they put in place, the policies that they promote, how many of them are held responsible for that? None that I see except one. President Trump. He's the only one. He's being held to extreme accountability, extreme responsibility. They did investigations on his tax returns. They did a whole 2-year investigation on the whole Russian collusion hoax based on the false Steele dossier that was paid for by another than you know who. Go look that up. Who paid for the Steele dossier? Excuse me. I need some water. And so there's this whole thing where there's very little accountability. And you'll always hear very little personal responsibility coming out of their mouth for anything. While they are making these policies that affect and making decisions that affect millions and even billions of people. But yet us at the bottom of the accountability triangle, the accountability pyramid scheme, us, the unlucky folks, the peasants at the bottom, the citizens, we're held to extreme accountability and extreme responsibility for every little thing we do. My thing is this. I'm so glad you folks did all that. Now guess what? We want the same extreme accountability and the same extreme responsibility and the same. We want answers, we want transparency, we want investigations, we want to see tax returns, all that for the new administration and for everybody in Congress. Yay! Presidents for everybody. Presents for everyone. Christmas presents for everybody. Just like you guys had Christmas presents for Trump and the Trump administration. I think that was great. Fantastic. Y'all set a new precedent, a new high and a new low, all at the same time. So now we want that same extreme level of accountability for all administrations, all future administrations, starting with this one right here, right now. Yeah. And I wonder, you got to ask yourself this too, I wonder why all of those celebrities, all of those rich folks, all of those corrupt politicians, all of those elite actors, sports figures, even that, all of these millionaires and billionaires with all of these zeros behind their names. I wonder why they're not calling for the same extreme accountability, and extreme transparency and tax returns and investigations and all of that into this administration. I mean, I do recall, aren't there a couple of Biden family members that are currently under federal investigation? Isn't there a Biden niece who, for the 3rd time, got off from being arrested for drug-related crimes? And a Biden brother who's being investigated and a Biden son who's being investigated? I think that's all great. But where's the full transparency, though? Where is it? Where's the calls for we need action? We need answers now. Stop that shit. Stop trying to pull the wool over the people's eyes again. And rock the sheep back to sleep now. Now, no fraud anywhere, no investigations needed anywhere. Everything's fine, sheep. Go back to sleep. Not. No, it's not fine. It hasn't been fine for a long time, for decades. Ask yourself, what has our beloved leader been doing for the last 47 years that he says now he's ready to fix things? What has he been fixing for the last 47 years? I'd love to know. I got a lot of questions, I wish one of these rich elite people would come down off of their pedestals, and come and debate me. I was also on the debate team and the debate club. Yeah. And I was also a member of the Academic Olympics. Yeah. Because I got questions, I need answers. And I think The American people need answers. I think people all across the world are looking at our country, at our elections, at our political process, and they want answers too, you know? And I'm interested to see who's going to be the first one to step up and start demanding answers of the new administration. Very vocally, you know, and demanding for protests and this and that. Or is it time for the sheep to be rocked back to sleep, you know? So you got to ask yourself questions like that, you know. Until next time, you know, be safe out there, be well, you know, let's try to figure a way out of this mess where we can find some success in the middle ground, where we all know already nobody's going to get what they want out of any of these issues. Nobody's going to get everything they want. We all know that, no matter what the issue is. Illegal immigration, gun control, transgender rights, racial equality, whatever the issue is. Whatever the issue is. White supremacy, KKK, Black Lives Matter, whatever. None of us is getting everything that we want all about this. So we got to start using our thinking caps to think of ways for success that we can eliminate these extremists on the outer edges of all these issues. You know, I know what it's like to be an extremist. I've had extremist views myself, but I don't think that's the way to solve anything. It's only the moderates, the folks who are really using their thinking caps and willing to sit down and communicate, you know, and compromise and know that no matter what, we're going to all try to see if we can get something for everybody out of this, but nobody's getting everything they want out of anything, you know. Let's stop listening to the extremists, because all we're going to do as extremists is tear shit up. And we don't want to do that. You know, we need to heal. We need to find a way out of this mess, because what's been going on for these past decades, it's not working. We all know this. So we need to start asking ourselves, what answers can we find that will work? And what has been going on? What have these politicians, these corrupt politicians, been doing for all of this time? Because I see that they've been benefiting very well. I don't see any of them suffering during this COVID mess. These elitists. Well, I see we're all suffering. They're talking about, oh, we're all in the same boat together. No, we're not. We're in the same storm together, not the same boat. Some of us are in yachts. Some of us are in sailboats. Some of us are in rowboats. And some of us have no boat at all and are sinking and drowning. While the folks in the yachts talking about, yeah, we're all in this together. So, you know, until then, good luck, God bless, and remember, it's not the people who are in your life, it's the people who can make a difference in your life that are important. God bless.